I joined at the beginning of pandemic, so that's a very important thing. Because at the beginning of pandemic, COVID pandemic, everyone was losing jobs, and I got the job. So it was really a peculiar time, so to say. That event of me joining Royal Blue Services and an extension BHX is ultimately connected to one very important part of my life, a very important event in my life. Of the rate, yeah, it was way under what we get now. So that's why that period was pretty hard for our drivers especially, and then for us as a company as well. Technology changes, science and everything, but human problems, issues, thoughts, and everything else does not change.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th episode of On the Road Show. I'm your host Vedad. I promised you, I'm bringing it to you. It's the 10th episode, we're doing something new, something different, something that we didn't do before. So we're here live from Royal Blue Services office in Sarajevo, and joining me exclusively today, Munir Mehic, the office manager of the company. Munir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, and it's really a pleasure to be a part of the 10th episode.
It's really good to see you. How does it feel to be a special guest on the 10th episode?
Well, it's usually, we're watching drivers, hearing their stories, and now we're on the other side, so it feels nice, really, just for them to have a glimpse on us as well, not just us on them. So it's a pleasure.
Wonderful. We got a lot of stories coming up. So, Munir, a lot of people know you. Everyone knows you. There isn't a single person who doesn't know Munir. But we want to get all the way to the beginning of the story now. We want to get more to the personal side of it. So let's start with the very beginning. How did it all start with you and BHX? When did it start? Your way, your journey from the position of a person who's saving and dispatching all the way to the position of a manager. Can you tell us how did that go?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, even though it's just 2 years behind us. Sometimes time can bend a little bit, so you think 2 years is way longer than it is. But I joined at the beginning of pandemic. So that's a very important thing. Because at the beginning of pandemic, COVID pandemic, everyone was losing jobs, and I got the job. So it was really a peculiar time, so to say. That event of me joining Royal Blue Services and an extension BHX is ultimately connected to one very important part of my life, a very important event in my life. And I'll just briefly explain it to you. I got engaged with my wife Wednesday. Next day, Thursday, I got this job, and Friday was my first day working. So
that was quite a week.
Quite a week, yeah, quite a week. And it's really, I consider those two things interconnected, because being a man of faith, I believe that certain steps may guide you or may lead you to very good decisions in your life, and or as we call it, risk, or something that is close to us, or something that is in order for us to provide for our family, we need a job, of course. And then I decided to start a family, and next day I got a job. So it's really connected, because at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was losing jobs, but I got mine. So that's how it started. Friday was my first day. It was July.
Did you book your first load as well in that week?
No. I came in Friday morning. Bosnian time was like 8 a.m. And I was there for the whole day, 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Bosnian time. and it was like too many info coming to me, and I when I came home, like my head was all over the place. It was just wanting to explode.
Right.
Because to be honest, I had zero, just like some other colleagues as well. I had zero trucking experience. I had zero transportation industry experience in Bosnia, let alone in US. So one head start was I was pretty into US geography, US history even, and I knew the background. I knew who am I dealing with. I knew the general vibe around US. So that helped me in the beginning. But it was hard beginning, like for everyone.
Every beginning is hard.
Yeah, every beginning is hard.
Just mentioned what Munir said earlier. His first day at work stayed the whole day until late. You said 11 p.m., right?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like for everyone who comes in here. We present them with the entire scope of work, with how everything looks like, and natural reaction for everyone at the start is they feel overwhelmed. There's a lot of information. They realize how big this operation is. Munir, you mentioned something interesting. You got the job at the time when COVID started, when companies were reducing their structures and employee count. BHX did not, thanks to the work that we and our drivers did. The company kept growing. How would you, from the position of a manager, describe our performance, especially during that time? And how are we dealing, from your point of view, with the COVID, as it's still kind of lasting in a different circumstances? How would you describe, how did we handle it on all levels?
I joined in July, so that's like 3-4 months after the COVID really went global. And by the time I joined, it started stabilizing. The industry started, working again. Drivers started, coming back to job, and freight was moving again. We had BHX, at least here in Sarajevo on the Royal Blue Services, we had 7, I think, employees back then. We were in those old Austro-Hungarian flats, 2 rooms, just made up office. And in the midst of the pandemic, we expanded. So I remember back then 4 of us came on. So it was like 12 of us. Now it's 17 and more of us. So I think we dealt with it pretty well, but there is a lot of hard work behind it, not just from us and from our drivers. We had to go through a very hard period where a lot of companies would just do a load very, very under what is acceptable just to get it covered. And
in terms of the rate?
In terms of the rate, yeah, it was way under what we get now. So that's why that period was pretty hard for our drivers, especially, and then for us as a company as well. But you know how at the end of every tunnel there's a light, and that light came in. Probably by the end of 2020, we were again back on track. Even though regulations were still out there and everything, but the industry and the world itself started getting back to normal. So, but it was tough, man.
I believe that. In fact, I find the story very relatable. Munir mentioned the end of 2020. That's the time I came in, and in that wave, there was 3 more people who joined with me. So it still kind of brings us back to the point that BHX continued to grow in those hardest months of pandemic. Munir, we'll come back to BHX. Let's focus on you now.
Sure.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do in free time. What are your interests? He's a big city of Liverpool FC. We're going to talk about that too. He's expecting a big final of Champions League. He's
Sure.
nervous. You can see that in his face.
I am nervous, but not for this interview.
Okay, let's see. I'm testing you. Let's focus on the personal side. Share more of personal Munir with us.
Yeah. First of all, I divide my life, before I got married and after I got married. So my habits and my daily life, of course, like for everyone, changed with that big change. And for me, it changed for better, actually. I was able to organize myself better than when I was alone. But when it comes to habits, and when it comes to hobbies as well, I brought them, way back from the childhood, and they're still there. Because they say that the habit is the one thing that it's the hardest to eradicate, right? It's hardest to change, and the same is with me. So I consider myself, let's start from there, I consider myself a history geek. So I like to read history books, I like to watch documentaries on history, I like to, whatever is out there, I just like to take it. And so that's since my childhood, I would say.
What part of the history do you find to be the most interesting to you?
Well, let me put it like this. In different periods of my life, it was a different part of the history. So for those of you who don't know, I finished Islamic high school, madrasa, and back then I was really into Islamic history. From the beginning until now, and I read a lot of it and listened to a lot of smart people on that topic. But after that, right now, what I'm the most interested in is a Second World War history. I'm reading Winston Churchill memoirs, or I'm trying to. Well, reading has become harder and harder. How the time is fastening, and then the reading is starting to be really hard. But that's the point of history that I'm really interested in right now. Reading about different battles, different alliances, different just about how human beings went through that. And this is an interesting topic, very interesting topic. So technology, science, everything can change, and it does change. Like you remember, 10 years ago, when first smartphones started coming out. I mean, everything changed since then until now. And our childhood, like our kids and the kids of our kids, will never probably experience our childhood, where it was technology free almost, where you spent your time out there, playing with other kids, etc. So technology, like I said, technology changes science and everything, but human problems, issues, thoughts, and everything else does not change. If you go back and read the Odyssey, which is not a history book, but still is an example of a time, if you read it, you will see that 3,000 years ago, people still had the same issues and problems just like we have now. And they dealt with the same issues. They spoke about the same things: sense of morality, love, God, power, war. Those are universal. Yeah, those are universal issues or universal topics. And ever since way back then, 3,000 years ago, if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is from nowadays Iraq, from Mesopotamia, it's 4,000 years old, whatever, and they still have the same issues, or they still discuss the same topics: friendship, power, etc. So it's like that. That's why I find it very interesting, because how they say history is a teacher of life, and if we really want to teach something our kids, we should teach them the history. Same as in Bosnia. Every one of us has ingrained in our genetics and ingrained in our understanding of life what happened before us. You can go back to the last war, 25, 30 years ago. My name is Munir, and I carry the name of my uncle who died fighting for this country, and I couldn't have the greatest honor. But history is in me, because if he were to live, I probably wouldn't have my name. So it's ingrained in all of us, those events from history and different situations and changes that happen.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's my first
much like many of us here. Munir also just said that many of us were affected by the war that took place here. Many of our drivers, Bosnian drivers, have shared their stories in the previous episodes. We all kind of shared that tragic part of this country's history. Munir was born, was it Travelot, right?
No, but close.
Close.
Yeah, I was born in the village, Yastravats. Not actually in the hospital, but in the village. Yastravats was, it was war. That village is, I would say, a triangle between Zenica, Travnik and Žepče in the central Bosnia. But county that it belongs to is Zenica, so I consider myself from Zenica.
Oh, okay. I was born in Zenica too, due to the war conditions. So see how we're connected, and we find out in this 10th episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, one thing about history before we move on. So Islamic history, World War II, and I want to learn now, and we want to learn now, what's next for Munir in history.
Well, I wouldn't believe it. You may find it funny, but right now I'm interested in Scottish clans.
Wow, why is that?
Well, I read some, interesting. Actually, I first watched an interesting seminar on Scottish history because of the other hobby that I have, and that is a really avid follower of Liverpool Football Club. And Liverpool Football Club throughout the history had a lot of Scottish players. And right now, there's Andrew Robertson. Way back then was Kenny Dalglish, the biggest legend of Liverpool. And there were Scottish players. And I myself, I never knew a lot about Scotland. It's a part of the UK, it's part of Britain, but I never knew a lot about it. So I read a seminar, actually it was some kind of scientific work, about the Scottish clans. They have a bunch of Scottish clans, like Mackenzies, like McDonald's, like McLeod's, or whatever.
McDonald's?
Yeah, McDonald's. A lot of them.
That's gonna be my favorite.
Yeah, and I just found it interesting, a different setup, a different environment, different understanding of life back then. Now it's completely different, of course. We're living in 21st century. You cannot have a old-time Highland clan anymore. What you can have is tradition, and they still treasure it. And I'm just interested in it. Maybe my next hobby will be researching Scottish history. You never know. But right now I'm still in between World War II and different topics. So.
We don't know now, but we will know when Munir returns on the road show next time, and we're probably gonna find out what is he reading about next time. Munir, Celtic or Rangers?
It's a tough one. Rangers, just because of just because they are the underdog, or they were the underdog for a lot of time, but they won the championship last year with Stevie G as their coach. So I think Rangers. I know that they have a blue kit, and that's the only thing that I don't like about it.
You don't like the blue kit?
Yeah.
A Liverpool fan.
Yeah, Liverpool fan. So that's the only thing I don't like about them, but Rangers are good. Yeah.
Unlike Rangers, Liverpool is not on track to win the title this year, but they are in the final. Like I said, Munir is under a lot of pressure about that final.
Yeah.
Are they going to win?
Hopefully. There's like 90% of hope and 10% of confidence. First of all, it was a very successful year for Liverpool Football Club. They won League Cup, they won FA Cup. FA Cup is something they didn't win for like 15 years, and that's why I loved it. And again, we're on a path of having our 7th Champions League title, and we would be with the Milan, the second highest Champions League winners if we win. When I say if we win, I mean Liverpool. And that's why I think it was a good year, even though we didn't win a title. We lost it in the last game. We went down to the wire. It was really exciting. I was all over the place, really. And that's another hobby of mine. They say that football is the single most important thing that is actually not that important, right? And for me, it was. I was never really a player or something like that. I love football, but ever since that great generation of Liverpool Football Club that won Champions League in Istanbul in 2005.
What a game that was.
What a game that was, man. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it was 3-0 at the halftime. They were
3-3 by the
trailing
end, yeah.
3-3 by the end, and they won on penalties. Like that
I was on the edge of my seat that night, just like I'm on the edge of my seat right now, because I had Munir on the show live here. But it was such a game, absolutely historical. Final is coming. Munir is nervous.
Yeah.
He's gonna be very nervous that day.
That's right. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Bosnian time. Whoa, man.
I'm gonna take a vacation. I'm gonna take a vacation. Munir, we talk a lot about football. For people in America, that would be soccer.
Yeah.
Is Munir present in soccer in free time?
Lately, no. Before, I had some like, I played some games with my friends. You know, we have few spots in Sarajevo where, outdoor football can really be enjoyed. But lately, and you can see that on me, I just didn't play a lot. But I love to play when I can.
Right. Well, we are in a sitting position, so I guess people will not really be able to tell our shape right now. So
Yeah.
That's a good thing, right?
I'm between light heavyweight and heavyweight, and that's another hobby of mine, MMA.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, probably started following it because of the Khabib Nurmagomedov, maybe 2016, 2015. But ever since then, I try to stay informed about it. I even tried training some martial arts, but I stopped as well.
What discipline?
It was for a bit. It was boxing, but I went to a few lessons of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. But overall, right now, it's just following the UFC, which is, I think, the most famous organization right now of the MMA in the world. And I try to, be informed, try to watch events. I probably don't miss like pay-per-view night or championship nights. Sometimes I miss those events, like when they happen in Las Vegas. But I try to be really out there and try to follow it. Right now, it's super exciting, really.
Good to hear. I don't actively watch those, but I do know about certain eras and champions over there. Do you guys miss Brock Lesnar?
No, I think no. He was more of he was a good fighter, but he was more of a showman than a champion in my opinion. And I miss more Daniel Cormier, DC, or I miss more GSP or something like that, like real champions,
Right.
more than I miss a showman.
Do you agree if we say that Brock has become more of an actor rather than an athlete?
Well, 75% he was an actor even before. That's my opinion. Maybe a lot of US viewers wouldn't agree with me because he is so big star. But I'm a big DC fan, so that's why DC is the standard for me, not really Brock Lesnar.
Well, we're gonna run a poll to see if you guys agree with what Munir just said after the show. Link in the description, right? That's what they say. Munir, a lot of our drivers shared their passions, their hobbies in the previous episodes, and a lot of those are connected with them spending time in nature. Sometimes connected to doing fitness, sometimes fishing. We've heard hunting stories as well. Is Munir doing anything else except what we mentioned previously? Any other activities you want to share with us?
Yeah, fishing, no. Hunting, no. Even though I had my late uncle was a real hunter. And I begged him like a few times, can you please take me with you? But never went, sadly. I have some friends that are hunting, and I was thinking about it to join the organization, any organization, hunting organization here.
Is the plan still alive?
No, not for now. Not for now. I wanted to, from January 2022, I wanted to be part of a lot of those, but I figured, it takes a lot of time, Right now, I don't have that time. Maybe in the future I will, and I'll get back to that. But right now, I don't have that time. So sadly, I cannot. But if you look at the age, average age of a hunter, so I'm still too young to be a hunter.
You still have time.
Yeah, I still have time because one of my friends, he started, hunting when he was at 35, 40. My uncle as well, when he was 35, 40. So I'm 27 now, 26, and still I have time for that.
Munir is running on track with his ETA to become a hunter.
Yeah, on track, still.
We'll wrap it up that way.
Yeah.
Moving on, Munir, you, transportation industry, this job, we have heard how it all started. Was there a particular interest from your side before joining this, and what elements or what aspects of this job, of this industry, do you find to be the most passionate to you?
Yeah, there was zero interest for me before I joined. I knew nothing about transportation industry. Me getting this job is God's providence, or God's way of guiding me. I would say that's to happen, yeah. Because sometimes we think something is good for us, and it turns out bad. And sometimes we think something is bad for us, and it turns out good, or we don't know. Same with this job, I really didn't know what's going to happen. I didn't know a single thing about transportation industry, but ever since I joined, and really from a day one, I loved it, and I still love it. That people say, don't ever work a job that you don't love. I really am enjoying my job, and that's why the transportation industry was unknown to me before, but right now it's really something that I feel comfortable in, and I feel a real purpose when working, because unlike some other disciplines or some other jobs where the outcome is foggy, you're doing something, but you don't know what you're doing. There are a lot of organizations before this job I used to work with or something like that.
Felt certain about what might come around the corner.
Yeah, it's just like some projects, and those projects are
no vision
at all. With this, there is a real purpose. If you go to the micro level, there is a load that someone has to book, a real shipment that has weight and pieces and everything, that has to go from point A to point B. It's a real job, right? And unlike some other jobs. So I really am enjoying it right now from the day one.
A lot of people say, and when I say people, I refer to both the dispatch personnel and the drivers. A lot of people say that our admission process plays a very big role in further development and adaptation of the person to our company. Tell us a bit about that. What do you think? How did BHX succeed so well in making people adapt?
I mean, dispatchers, drivers, or general?
Both in general.
Well, we can do a better job. That's 100%. To all drivers out there, we're trying to develop our systems and put everything in place so we can do a better job in that aspect as well. And that is a driver's adaptation, or first couple of weeks when drivers come in. Those are like the most important weeks in their professional life with BHX. Those first couple of weeks, in order for them to adapt, to learn. We're doing that right now. We're helping them from situation to situation, while even before when they're on orientation, we're trying to show them everything. But unless you put everything into practice, it's really hard to learn. So same is with drivers and same is with dispatchers. When you come here and I show you different systems and you click here, this happens, you click here, that happens, and I'm clicking for them. But when they start working and when they're put in a situation, that's when they learn, because we learn with practice. Drivers and dispatchers and management and everyone learn with practice. someone would say maybe that's a retroactive learning. It's not. It's really sometimes you need to experience a situation to understand the situation. Someone we can speak about this. Someone may give you a story about what they did in a certain situation, and you may listen and say, well, I will do this, I will do that. But when you're actually struck with that situation, you may change completely your approach, you may change completely your mindset. So same with adaptation. In order to adapt, everyone needs time and experience and patience. When I spoke with Aldi, and before I joined, he asked me like, what's one or two things that this company can promise you or would like you to hear from us. I said working from the office, and that's what we always had, apart from a few pandemic situations where we need to go back home. And the second thing was patience in the beginning. And he asked and he laughed and he said, what about patience afterwards? Yes, of course, but patience in the beginning is the most important thing with everyone, because everyone needs time to adapt. Really.
Indeed. Munir, you mentioned Aldi. I made one promise last week. I made it happen. I'm making another promise this week. We will have Aldi in the near future on the show as well. That's going to be interesting. Tell us a bit about Aldi. You are the man who has perhaps the closest relationship with Aldi in the organization. How do you describe him as a man on both personal and business side?
Well, I can speak on a business aspect the most. There are companies where you come in and you spend 8 hours and you don't see a vision behind it. And then there is our company, really where it's led by a vision. But that vision will, inshallah, succeed. And the most important, or the one that brought everything together is, of course, Aldi. And really working with him, it's not, for me, it was not just 8-hour shift and go home. It's understanding that there is some kind of a different setting, or there is a plan, behind all of this for this company to enter big leagues, I would say. That's right now. We're doing that right now with the app that we're developing. Really, that app was a vision of one man, Aldi, and then some of us helped along the way. But it was his vision and his idea, because that was the next step we needed to do. So on the professional side, he's a fair man that leads by example, and that's the most important thing. He's a workaholic. I never met a man in my life who works harder than him. And when you see that in someone that's above you in that chain of management, it really is a push, and expectations are pretty high. But but yeah, that's it.
Actually, the last thing that you mentioned about his involvement, I can attest to this. I've worked in many companies before. Aldi spends more time involved with this company in one day, more than all of my previous directors or presidents in a whole week combined, which is actually very fascinating. He's operational from morning until late at night.
Yeah, even though in the last year and a half his involvement in daily tasks is probably 5% or sometimes 10%, sometimes even less. But still his presence is felt, because there is machinery behind happening. There's different changes, different ideas, etc. But I'm glad that I helped along the way for him to have more time to work on those big ideas, in order for me to run the operations and everything. That was necessary for him to spend time developing the app and everything else.
I believe you succeeded in contributing big time. Munir, you have come a long way in this organization. Can you share with us what were the biggest challenges for you on your path? What were the most challenging situations for you?
I'm not gonna talk about big things or something like that, generalizing. It's those micro challenges that we consider small sometimes that are the biggest challenge for me. So the biggest challenge for me is seeing a driver in Seattle waiting for a load for 2 days and nothing is good. Nothing is coming up. There's nothing coming up. What do I say to that man? Like, how do I approach? What do I say? How do I resolve that? A lot of times I go home, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m. and I call in you or Mahir or whoever is working late. Is this driver booked? Is that driver booked?
He does that.
Yeah, because it really is a pain, and I'm not exaggerating a bit. It really is a pain when you go home and you have a driver in, I don't know, Arizona 2-3 days without a load. And every driver out there knows this can happen, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal. I imagine my own father sitting in that aluminum box for 48 hours without having anything to do. So that would be the same as if Vedad, you would come to work and you would be in front of the office and I tell you, you need to wait, there's nothing to do right now, so you need to wait in front of the office. And you spend 48 hours like in front of the office, you may sit, you may lie, whatever, 48 hours in front of the office and doing nothing. So you may go to eat something or drink something or watch a movie, but you're not doing anything. And it gets under your skin. And that's why, the biggest challenge for me is when that happens. There's nothing bigger than that. There's nothing bigger than that. So that was and still is the biggest challenge.
In fact, we developed a culture in which we share the concerns of our drivers. In fact, we make ourselves a part of those situations. Just like Munir said, a driver who's waiting on a load, we totally want to be as close as possible to that driver during those hours while we're working on making his situation change and getting him booked. Munir, I want to ask you this. Earlier in this interview, you mentioned that people or things, some things hardly ever change or they don't. But in BHX, things change. We are constantly looking for improvement, for improvisation, for better processes and procedures, better tools. BHX has changed a lot in the time that you have been here. You mentioned application, big thing, big thing. How do you view the time that's behind us, but also the time that's ahead of us?
First of all,
in terms of change.
Muslim drivers of that heritage and religion will understand the reference I'm going to make. Like Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu said, cursed is the day when I don't learn something new, or when I don't change for better. Same was with us. I never ran from change. I accepted, I consider it a part of life, and that's on personal level. But as a company as well, we were constantly changing and constantly developing our systems, our procedures, our approach, day in, day out. When I joined in 2020, like I said, it was July, really compared to now, it was like a Stone Age, and now we're in industrial age. We're still not in 21st century, but we're in the industrial age, so we're moving places. It was really a Stone Age when it comes to our systems. There was a lot of hard work, as it is now, but our systems were not as developed. And then, day by day, month by month, we were changing our systems. We were removing those systems that we consider, redundant, and one by one, we got to the situation that we're right now in, and that is that we have a functioning app. Still not finished, still needs a million updates, but we have a functioning app that performs everything better than the systems we had before. So everything is performed better, and we resolved one big thing, and that's probably the biggest leap we ever made, at least in my tenure. I think maybe Aldi's biggest leap was opening a company in Bosnia, but before the app. But right now, the app is the biggest leap we ever had. And that leap is providing the opportunity to our drivers to choose the ultimate freedom of loads. So a lot of companies out there, they will say, owner-operator, you can choose and pick and do whatever he wants. But reality is different. And we know that there's nothing hidden. But right now, with the app, and with the self-dispatch option, our drivers have the ultimate freedom of loads. So we're, quote-unquote, selling freedom.
That's where I wanted to come with Munir exclusively in this episode. The modes, self-dispatch, auto-dispatch. Let's use the opportunity, let's get into those.
All right, let me explain it like this. Maybe some of our drivers still do not understand the concept. Some of our viewers maybe heard about it and really didn't think about it a lot. Our app right now has two options for our drivers. One option is driver can be on self-dispatch, and the other option is driver can be on auto-dispatch or auto-accept. What does this mean? Self-dispatch is an option where drivers will get every available load directly to their phone, and they will choose the rate they want to get for that load, pickup time, delivery time. They'll choose everything there is.
And they have control over.
They have control all over everything. So when they go home, what they do, what states they want to go to, etc. So it's up to them 100%. We send them a load with our suggested market rate. We say, we think you can get this load for this money, and that rate is actually the rate that will go directly to them if we win the load. So they got that suggested market rate, and then they may think, all right, I'll spend a lot of fuel here. I want to get 100 more. They say 100 more, we go there. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we'll reach back to them. And then if the customer reach back to us and they ask, can we go down? We'll call the driver always to check with him if he wants it, if he doesn't want it, etc. So that's the ultimate freedom of loads. You pick and choose whatever you want. It's down to you. It's down to your activity. It's down to you. So it's real owner-operated.
And suggested rate is there to act as a helping tool.
Yeah, let me explain the suggested rate. Suggested rate is not like something we pick from the air. Suggested rate is derived from 8 years of data, experience, and loads that we booked in the history of BHX. And then we come up with the average, what we can get from state to state, and then we incorporated that into the app. So it's something that was always a standard, that is a standard in the industry, and we're saying, all right, this is what we think you can get for it, but you may go up, pardon, you may go down, it's completely up to you.
And to make this helping tool as helpful and as refreshed as possible to meet the ongoing trends in the industry, BHX will keep the suggested rates refreshed. Is that right?
Of course. You're aware that in the last 6 months we had a big, big improvement in Canada rates.
Yes.
We were able to get much more than before.
One of those examples include the COVID vaccine mandate, which affected the loads that were crossing from US to Canada and the other way around. And we can agree that BHX did use the opportunity, use the momentum, right? right? The drivers did make a lot more than what they would usually make.
Yeah, we hate to be the only one to the party, right? We were among the first one that realized, all right, this is the opportunity, and we use that opportunity. A lot of our drivers that drive, sprinter vans, cargo vans, earned after a month of being there, earned something that they didn't maybe in 4 or 5 months when the vaccine mandate started. So we refresh our suggested rates, we refresh our understanding of the systems and the situation around us, and we use that for the benefit of our drivers, of course. Like I said, we will not be the last one to find out something. We'll probably be among the first one, and we have connections and customers, and it's a vast network really, and that's why we realized that on time and we used it.
This is interesting, and here is why. 5 weeks before the vaccine mandate would start, Munir was the man who approached me one night and said, it's going to happen, and we need to be prepared before it happens. So I remember those days when we made around 200 phone calls to speak with our drivers and collect all the information to see how prepared our fleet is for that mandate, to see who is eligible, to inform those who are not what they need to do if they want to be eligible. And we can say, I wanted to share this specifically, how we monitor the trends and how prepared we want to be before things start to happen.
Yeah, we do. We have to monitor the trends. One thing that really is sad right now are the oil prices, the gas prices that went up a lot, and we didn't see a significant rise in prices and rates that we can get. There is a little bit, but it's really not that significant. And we're praying that either the gas will go down or the prices will go up. I know that right now, for drivers especially, this climate, I would say the global geopolitics influence on the oil prices is really hurting the most our drivers. So, like I said before, we will not be the last one to find out if there are changes, and we'll adjust like we always did. And it's really important for the survival of business to be always out there and to look for trends and what's going on in the industry.
Of course. Munir, I want to get us back to the subject of dispatch modes. We covered self-dispatch. We still have auto-dispatch to discuss. And I know that many of our current drivers know this, but for all people who are watching this and might be considering to join BHX as a driver, let's cover that aspect as well. How does it work?
Yeah, as much as it is important to understand self-dispatch, it is important to understand that auto-accept or auto-dispatch because we have situations where we book a load and then drivers would not understand or didn't understand how to accept or how to dispatch the best way possible. So the real idea behind it is drivers will choose states in the United States of America, provinces in Canada, and say, I want to go there. So on their app, on their phone, they have the map of the United States with a list and the map of Canada with a list of provinces. And they go in and they just choose, all right, this week, I want to go down to Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And we will not book a single load outside of those 4 or 5 states without asking them, right? We may book a different load that goes to Florida, but we'll give them a call, ask them if they want it, and then we'll book it, right? So auto-accept is related to you picking and choosing the regulations. So the regulations are states where you want to go, maximum mileage you want to cross. So if you say, I want to load up to 1,000 miles, we will not book a load over 1,000 miles, even if it's just 1 mile, without asking you. all right, I want a minimum rate, minimum load pay to be $500. So that's your minimum. We will not book those short loads for 400 without asking, right? There are different sets of regulations. I'm available from, I don't know, 4 p.m. today. We put that in the system. We will not book a load that is before 4 p.m. without asking them. So there, you choose your own regulations, and we do the whole job for you. Right now, we're looking to incorporate other regulations, such as minimum rate per mile, or different things that they can put in, and that will be considered when booking the load. So, and then we do the whole job for you, taking into consideration suggested market rate, right? Suggested market rate, that is important. If we feel that on some load we can get more, we'll get it. But we will follow suggested market rates. So, when a driver that is on auto accept or auto dispatch is awarded with a load, he will go to the state of his choosing, mileage of his choosing, money of his choosing, when I say the minimum load pay, or in future when we incorporate the minimum rate per mile of his choosing. So everything is of his choosing. So this is a self-dispatch, but we do the whole job under the regulations that you set. You don't have to put in the rate, you don't have to press bid, you just have to sit there, tell us that these are my regulations, and we fight for it, right? So the only difference between self-dispatch and auto-accept is that driver has, on self-dispatch, driver has to place bid, and then we negotiate with the customer. On auto-accept, driver just needs to set his regulations, nothing else. So the greatest, really the greatest endeavor right now is to bridge the gap between self-dispatch and auto-accept as much as possible, right? Even for auto-accept to be as free as possible. That's why those regulations are there. And when the driver is awarded the load, it's a go. Driver, if he sets regulations properly, it will be under his wishes, and there will be no need for discussion or anything. He'll just take
He
a.
would not be in position to consider whether he needed or wanted that load.
If he chose everything for himself, states and regulations, that's it.
Booking was in line with the preferences.
Booking was in line with his agreement.
Right.
He gave us the tools to get him the load that he wants. And there's no going back from that point. The self-dispatches, you do whatever you want. So that's for any driver out there who want to experience dispatching as well a bit. At least choosing the rate, they can try self-dispatch, and then we negotiate with the customer back and forth, and with the driver back and forth until we get the best possible rate. I think that leap that we made with self-dispatch and auto-accept is the greatest leap we ever did, at least in my tenure here. And I think that will expand our fleet. That will help us help drivers 1,000,000%. But there are still challenges. The app, right? I hope it will reduce waiting time as well. That will find a way to reduce that as well. And the greatest challenge is still, and was, when we have a driver that waits for 2 days or something like that in Arizona, and loads are not coming up. So sometimes it's down to luck, but 99% is down to effort and hard work that each and every one of us here in the office really is doing every day.
And the effort is there. We also want to make sure the tools.
Effort has to be there. Now we have to support it with the system. Like Aldi mentioned once, we have a lot of 8 players. It's on us to work on developing the system in which those 8 players will be able to accomplish the best results. And we're moving places. We're trying really our best, and we will get to the position where the system is set and everything is simplified and easier to work with.
Right. You heard it well. You can try to bid. It's very fun, by the way. If you don't find it fun, you give us a direction and BHX will find you a loan. Munir, I want to ask this. As we speak, the project of BHX app is developing. It develops 24/7. There's constantly some activity going on and updates being pushed. Do you want to share any incoming features with us, or do you want to keep us on a surprise lane?
Well, yeah, maybe I won't. We're still not finished with the mobile app, and that will, be another leap. And when drivers will be able to download the app from App Store or Play Store.
Available on both
available on both platforms, from iPhones and Androids. So that's another thing. I hope that'll happen soon as well. So that's a big thing. Right now it's a web app, but we're developing it to be a mobile app as well, and that will simplify the process as well. And hopefully that will happen soon. And I cannot be more excited really for it.
Awesome. So, as Munir said, the app is developing. Stay tuned. Big things are coming, and they will keep coming. Munir, I thank you very much for joining us today. I do want to give you your 2 minutes, just like I did with everyone before. A lot of people are going to watch this. All attention is on you right now. What message do you want to send to our drivers, our staff, our management, both our teams in Sarajevo and St. Louis, our customers as well, everyone watching us live right now?
First of all, I would like to start with people that do the hardest work. Those are our drivers. It didn't take me long to understand that the difficulties of driver's life, and that was a big push for me initially to give my best every day and to demand the same standard from everyone really around me. And I understand the difficulties you're going through and the difficulties with constant changes in oil prices, in loads, etc. You're constantly on a road, sometimes even for 2-3 weeks a month, and that's something really I didn't experience. I was never away from my family for that long, and I understand that it's something I cannot even imagine. But rest assured that you have the best dispatch team in the industry, really working for you, fighting for you, contacting customer, contacting you in order to get you business as soon as possible. Challenges are out there. Like I said, the biggest for me and 100% the biggest for you is waiting for loads. We'll try to reduce that as much as we can in the future. Sadly, it happened before, and reality of the business is it will happen again, but it is on us to reduce that. You guys, you know that I'm available 24/7 for anything. Most of you have my direct number. It's really a career, this job, and I consider it a part of my life, of course. And whenever you need me, you can get to me. For dispatchers, it is up to us to have that mentality that every day we have to do better, and there has to be a change in our head every day, that we learn something new and do something new. With that, you saw that our company is changing for the better. All of us have to change the mentality for the better. We cannot have the mentality of well, I just got used to this system, why do we have to change it? We cannot have that mentality. We can only have the mentality of a change that will lead us to a betterment, and the change that will expand our company. And with the company, of course, there will be benefits for all of us. Because I know Aldi well enough to understand that everyone is reaping the benefits of success, and that everyone is involved in that, and it was before as well. For everyone else, for the viewers, follow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, every other page. Really, we're putting some content out there, spread the word about BHX and Real Blue Services. Real Blue Services is the company in Sarajevo, and we work for BHX, represent BHX, and we're proud to do so. And one day we may expand as well into other areas of work. So just spread out the word. We're doing a good job. We're really expanding and have a positive mentality that will hopefully, inshallah, lead us to success. So follow our pages, follow our content, get to know us. We're constantly out there, and God bless all of you who are watching, and I wish you all the best.
Munir, thank you very much for the amazing insights and all the answers you've given us today. It was a pleasure to be
Yeah, this is a change. First time you're shaking someone's hand on your...
It is. First time happening live on the road show, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this amazing show, for every piece of information you've given to all of us out there and the people watching us live. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as well for joining us live for the 10th episode of On the Road Show. Next week we got new story, new guests, so stay tuned. Coming this Monday is Memorial Day, spend it well. Have a wonderful remainder of this week, and see you all next week. Thank you.